If you just joined us, this is The Press. We're reaching you live from KAFTAN's television city here in the nation's capital, Abuja. Now we'll go straight to analyzing the stories that we read out to you. And my guest on the show today is Obadiah Mbila, who is the CEO of Lovework Media. Great to have you on the show this morning, sir.
Thank you so very much for having me.
Happy New
Good morning, Nigeria.
And happy New Month.
And same here. I know it's going to be a month of fruitfulness and harvest.
Right.
I think we should begin to learn that changes occurs every day in our life, and it all depends on where we are focusing. When we focus on something positive returns to us.
Yes.
Maybe I'll use this opportunity to say that one of such changes is what has happened in South Africa. The dominance of a ruling ANC has just been broken, telling us that everything is possible. It could happen here in Nigeria. Congratulations, the opposition party in South Africa.
It's definitely congratulations to the opposition party. But because you started there, I would have loved to go somewhere else, maybe start with from Nigeria. But because we've already started our discussion from there, let's get your thoughts with regards. And you already mentioned it, that something close to that could happen in Nigeria. Yeah. So we should not believe that nothing is impossible. Anything is So I was talking to someone, and then he said, oh, please, just the same way that you cannot have countries like Rwanda, Gabon, and some other countries have their presidents for almost decades, and sit-tight syndrome happening there. You cannot have it happen in Nigeria. You can't do more than 8 years. That's the same way you cannot have things like that happen. What are your thoughts on that regard?
Yeah, because, you know, many of us would not believe that one of the best president, in fact, the best president we've had since the turn of this fourth republic in 1999 is President Olusegun Obasanjo. And a very strong grand plan was set out for him to transmute himself from at the expiration of his second term of 8 years to enter what became very, very scandalous, the third term agenda, you know. And you could see from those that were promoting it, they were not so proud to present themselves as this is what we're doing it for. In fact, the president himself said back then that he did not open his mouth to tell anybody that he wants an extension. And then I remember an encounter with one of his major fixer, late Chief Tony Anene. A minister was asked, why is he not promoting the third term agenda back then? He said, no, Mr. President have not told me. And then it was reported that Tony Anene said, does he need to open his mouth to tell you? Can't you see it in his body language? You know, so it's not going to be possible to push for extension in Nigeria. Although most of us recognize the fact that the president was very apprehensive that when he had gone, some of the structures that he has put in place, the advancement he has made, the democratic gain that has become very accumulative and very palpable, very visible, that it will be destroyed. Perhaps that's what spurred him to think that third time is possible to consolidate his achievement. Right. But lo and behold, it was the Senate of the Federal Republic that made the final verdict by throwing the third term bill out during the time of Senator Ken Namani as the Senate President.
Yeah.
So you see that I don't know the mindset of Nigerians, how it works, but I think there is this time you push them to the wall, they say enough is enough, and they rise up to at least, if not totally extricate themselves from your prison, or whatever idea that you want to rope them in, they will at least demonstrate the fact that if they can't win you totally, at least they can scuttle your intention. And that's what we see in NSAS movement.
Okay, so now let's go straight to our other headline for this morning. All the national dailies have minimum wage as their bold and biggest headline. So you have On the Guardian newspaper, talk about the minimum wage. The Vanguard says, fill schools, banks, others to be shut as strike begins today. TUC direct Pengasin and other senior civil servants to comply. We even we're told that even the airports will comply, even the national grid will comply with the strike action. What are your thoughts in this regard? Seeing the fact that I heard the spokesperson to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, Ngalale Ajuri, say that if we have to stay, that this amount of money that they're even asking for, if you have to stay on that amount of money, it will definitely lead to job losses, humongous job losses. And then the federal government say we cannot do above this particular amount of money. The labor is saying no, we have to do because you can afford it, even though the federal government said they cannot afford it. But then I keep asking why it's looking as if like when you have in the days where our mothers will go to the market and they are pricing meat. The meat seller says, no, I'm giving you for 5,000. Your mom would pick it and say, no, let me take it for 2,500. That's what it's looking as if they're doing to Nigerian workers at the moment. So what are your thoughts in all of this? Well,
you know, there is always two sides of every issue. In the case of the NLC, the labor generally, I think their own, we have three sides of the issue, no longer two, because there is the government end and there is the organized labor end. But there is also the populace, the economy, the reality that is you know, that is confronting us. I have thought of all this holistically, and then I came to say, look, if labor is given the amount of money they are asking, don't ask me where we are going to get this money. But supposing we have that type of amount of money they are asking about, what will be the consequences? One of such consequences is what Ajure said. It will mean that we are going to pay few people and then many people will lose their job.
Right.
That's one. Two, if we pump such money in our troubling economy already, what will be the impact of this type of increase on an economy that is sick already? So for me, I think this labor government impasse should come to a final conclusion by insisting that, one, government should prevail on National Assembly to pass the minimum wage bill, so that we will no longer be talking about a bogus demand of the NLC and then the meager response of government, but we should be saying, what did the law say?
Right.
Once we get what the law say, then we'll have a correct perspective to go. But for now, the minimum wage law has not been passed, and it's like the negotiation is taking more than necessary time. It's making the organized labor to focus on negotiation rather than focusing on the job they were called to do. So both labor and government must respond to this matter responsibly, and I think government is doing this hide and seek thing that I'm not comfortable with. You know that what they are demanding is their legitimate right. For me, we will continue to appeal to labor that, look, in as much as we are not against increasing this, meeting up your increase, the demand for increase, but we should be doing it sequentially. Let us take 6 months, for example, or one year, or two years, as the case may be, so that whatever thing we are paying you will not trouble the economy itself.
Okay, so on one part, the federal government, the AGF says that labels the strike and the NLC's move as premature and illegal and urges for reconsideration. And then on the other part, I hear some people argue in this regard, especially those people who stand around the Free Readers Association. I hear most of them argue around the fact that if you increase this minimum wage to, let's say, 150,000, you've forgotten the fact that most states are not even able to pay 30,000. And then even if they're able to pay, and even if the federal government is able to pay, how much would you now, how much is it going to affect the market woman who sells pepper? At this point, we don't even have pepper for 200 naira anymore. It sells from 500 naira.
Sad.
3 pieces of pepper they'll give you for 300. That means one is 400 naira, but even though they don't even sell 100. In fact, I was even telling someone, it looks like our 100 naira and 200 naira are now very useless. They're not even valuable. Has no value anymore. So if you want to spend, at least if you want to say I have some change in my pocket, start from 500 or 1,000. So if you do all of this, how about the ripple effect? How it will still affect the fact that things will still get more expensive? So is the money ever enough to even purchase these things? Yeah.
That's why I'm saying, it's unfortunate that the government is fast acquiring the reputation of a government that is perceived as employing deceit, and if you have a child growing under you and he begins to feel that you're deceiving him, you see that confidence will not be there again. Now, there is nothing wrong for government to say, look, Labour, we are not going to insist that it must be on our own term. But come to think of it, we have increased up to 48,000 from where it was. Don't worry, we are good to go. We want to increase as you requested. But please, let us bring in an independent economic advisors to tell us how this thing could run so that we will not run into trouble. If government come with this type of conversation, they might win the sympathy of the masses. Say, yes, we need to know the impact of whatever that is going to be increased, So that can linger for some time while Labour go about their business, accepting 48,000, as it were. But the problem, like you said, when we talk of wage increase or wage harmonization, it seems the whole argument only favors federal civil servants and not the state civil servants. It's quite embarrassing to know that up till today, there are states that still pay 18,000.
Right.
And
I will owing.
And are owing, So one begin to ask, how can we make sure that when Labour asks us to sit at home, we should not go anywhere? That after all the sacrifices, what the demand they are making, if it's finally responded to, government will run with that promise, keeping their promise at the federal level and also at the state level and then at the local government level. You should not allow any government in the federation to pay, to give an excuse why it cannot increase the wage of the employees, especially at the state and local government areas.
All right, let's move to other headline, even still on the same story. This one from Daily Sun says, poverty, debt ravage Nigeria despite local governments and state or federal government sharing of 17.9 trillion naira under Tinubu. So in that regard, I would like us to talk about the after 365 days. In fact, we're even over 365 days, but then let's still talk about after 1 year of all of the promises, the campaign promises, and then we're now into governance and no longer politics. But some of this, the argument that you had when they were in the the opposition party, you see some of these things still happening. We talk about fuel subsidy, you talk about how expensive things have gone. What are your thoughts in this regard? I hear Tambuwa says, we want you not to elect or not to choose APC, but you refused, and this is what is happening to you.
Well, you know, if we go into blame game at this point, it will be too late for us as a nation. And then, of course, as they say, you don't cry over a spilled milk.
Right.
Way back in 2015, Patient Jonathan warned us. Do you want to go back to Egypt? We said no. He says voting in APC will be taking us back to Egypt. Now, the husband even added that he's going to take us back to 50 years backward. Of course, you can see that we have already adopted an anthem that we sang nearly 50 years ago, you know. So, in fact, in one of my write-up, I call it backward integration. Oh.
So, backward integration.
So
really?
I reason that the present governors are taking more home than the previous governors. The fuel subsidy removal has made their take home or take back to the state to increase astronomically, you know. Yeah, but it's just like what we were discussing about salary increase, wage increase. How come that after removal of subsidy and then giving this money to the state, and then of course the local government, where they operate local government, you know, how is it that the impact of this huge money that governors go home with is not affecting the masses? People are still hungry. And I want to tell you that it appears when we come to the screen and you see smiley faces and people looking renewed and revitalized, you won't understand really the story we tell here, right, or the conversation we share. So I don't know whether it would have been better to take shots of people who are really passing through excruciating pain on account of an economy that is not working, on account of a government that is not keeping its promises. So it is that bad. It is enough to declare a state of emergency in the food security area. We can't buy tomatoes any longer. The price has so skyrocketed that ordinary household whose salary is 30,000, for instance, should not dream of buying tomatoes for their Sunday rice preparation. So mothers are learning to cook without tomatoes. Basic thing that usually you know, is thrown out. Today you can't buy it anymore. There are some of us who, for reasons of health, for health reasons, uses tomatoes, raw tomatoes, you know, to make a juice. You can't find the one to cook, not to talk of the one to
make smoothie.
Yes, but there is also this disparity between those that are close to government, who seems to go about their business, riding their new cars, building their new houses, as if nothing is happening. So that is the problem. I don't know how to reconcile this this disagreement between what government, the way the government is living, the opulence that is so visible with the president, the type of entourage that he writes, and so on and so forth. You know, when you compare that with there was this this photograph that was circulating in the internet, leaders, presidents of African extraction, and president from Europe and America, you see simplicity with the leaders that are from that side, although they are the one that should be living in opulence. They are the one that should be driving a longer convoy than our own. But the reverse is the case. You see simplicity at best. The present, there's a president that is aspiring to replace Iranian president. If you see the type of lifestyle he keeps, you know, you see that it looks like it's alien to our people. Why is it that our lifestyle does not speak about the reality we have as a people? How come that the lifestyle of the those that are government official is such a bogus lifestyle that speaks volume, that suggests that everything is working out right? I think this this government way and lifestyle is a reason why people do not believe them.
It's really sad, because I remember seeing one recent interview where the finance minister, I think it was a finance minister, yes, that was having an interview with one of the investors that came in, and he had a multi-million-dollar wristwatch. And in my mind, I'm like, when this investor sees this wristwatch, is he not going to be thinking, really? You guys say you are in need? Africans, why are you people like this? And I just, in my mind, yesterday, I just concluded that things are really, really getting very, like they're really getting worse. Because a bottle of pet drink that you always buy for 100 naira, 70 naira now goes for over 400 naira. And then one of my friends was saying, at least even when everything is so bad, let us still be able to enjoy ourselves. That she wanted to buy the barbecue fish that we buy for 3,500 before is now sold for 8,000. So you don't want us to even at least manage to enjoy ourselves on weekends again. It's really that bad.
It's a sad narrative, but it's the reality we have found ourselves. And I do hope that the government should be taking into consideration the consequences of their near irresponsive approach to governance, as if it doesn't so much matter. That's their attitude, you know, and that is what is compounding the NLC stance in this matter. By the way, the level of compliance of this particular strike is quite frightening. I hope it does not extend to 2 days. Otherwise, the economy will collapse totally, and movement will become extremely difficult. Because when the airport workers would want to be the first to comply with this, and then of course the electricity workers join in that fray, you will see that the entire country is already in trouble. We are not talking of other sectors that have not indicated or probably have indicated interest to join, but because their services does not have direct impact on our day-to-day life, we probably have not witnessed this. But when you talk of electricity, when you talk of water, when you talk of mobility, transportation, that's very, very, it's an area that will not only ground the economy, they ground the society, the populace, the masses will be the worst hit.
All right, like they say, like the Igbo people would say, Ometonimi or Benaya. By the time it hits the eyes or hits the nose, the eyes will definitely cry. So it will touch everyone. Let's go to Daily Sun this morning. Says, go after killers of 5 soldiers, not innocent citizens. Labour Party urges military. Army not relenting in efforts to arrest perpetrators, coming from General Dia. Since this incident happened, I've actually been waiting to have this conversation with you. What are your thoughts in this regard, especially the killings of those soldiers and the Biafra Day, all that happened? What are your thoughts on that? What can you tell us?
Let me begin by once again saying I sympathize with the family of those fallen heroes who died on a day we're supposed to be mourning foreign heroes of Igbo extraction. And even though the word Biafra is being used, but I think, well, it would be wrong to say Igbo extraction, because people who died during the war were not just Igbos. We had other tribes, especially those from the Delta area who were non-Igbos, the Shekris, the Urobos, even the Benin. Then you come to the eastern axis of Southeast, you meet the Akwa Iboms, you know, and you remember that the second in command of the then defunct Biafra is Major General Philip Effiong, who is from Akwa Ibom. So there were orders that actually fell during, were killed during the war. So if one would say it's Igbo thing, you will exclude this other one.
Right.
Again, if you say Biafra, it invokes that that divisive spirit that we want to heal. Be that as it may, I'm using Biafra here so that those that are non-Igbos will be included. I see nothing wrong with the federal government coming out to say, yes, it will never happen again. We should not go to war again. And the only way we can remember this is to include those who died on the side of the secessionists, the Biafra side. When we do what we do as Remembrance Day on January 15, it does not run down to include those who died during the war from the side of Biafra. To that extent, people who were directly affected by this date are saying we are mourning our own. There's nothing wrong about that. However, because of the way government is handling the matter, people are taking advantage, evil men are taking advantage to come and sow seed that would make that enmity that's supposed to be healing, you know, to rise up again.
What do you mean by the way the government is taking up the matter?
You see, in some cases, you see that the government is supposed to be part of the mourning. The federal government is supposed to be part of the mourning. It shouldn't be consigned to people who hijack it as if we have two countries.
Ah.
Yes, it shouldn't be a thing of we have two countries. If government shows concern for everyone that dies under that circumstance, then it will take away that command from those that are using May 30th as Biafra Day. Again, on that particular day, on that fateful day, everything was going on well, I guess, but the fact that some miscreants, some criminal elements had the audacity to go and fell our soldiers, one should stop to think what brought about that episode. It should not have risen in the first place. And then the way army command responded to it, if what General Dia was quoted as saying is true, it simply means we are not looking for solution. We are cashing on that unfortunate circumstances to destroy and destabilize the region. When I heard that he said army will retaliate, I was asking, is it a different country, or is it the people that you were raised to protect? So that word shouldn't have come in the first place. It was not perpetrated by the people that you want to make a scapegoat. No. It was criminal activity that should be investigated. I would have loved to hear army will investigate this and the culprits will be brought to book. That is the only way to discourage them from repeating that dastardly act. But when you see the way army was going about hounding anyone that they see on the street, you know, beating people, arresting people indiscriminately, you ask, how would this bring the solution? So I like what the governor did by going straight to the army authority in Abia State to say this thing is painful, and we as a government, we are taking up the responsibility of showing our sympathy by taking up the raising of the children of these soldiers that were killed. 2, pleading with the army command by saying, look, don't go about arresting everybody. Rather, do much to make sure that you track those that perpetrated this dastardly act. Of course, the government went ahead to place 20 million bounty on those anyone that has information on how to apprehend these criminals. So for me, the response of the soldiers ever since the governor made that entreaty has been commendable, and I think so far we have not been hearing the arrest issue again and the embarrassment of the people that do not know anything about this criminal activity.
So we should be hopeful that there will be no reprisal attack, because I remember someone saying that I hope the same thing that happened in Banex does not actually repeat itself, or the same thing that happened in the Okwama community doesn't repeat itself. We shouldn't be looking at that, right?
Yeah, you see, if you look at the Okwama issue, it's a different setting altogether. We are talking about soldiers that are in their duty post. They didn't come to the community to look for troubles or for trouble to look for them. They were in their duty post with their vehicular supports. So where else did you expect them to be? Just in the right place, at their duty post. And then unknown gunmen came in right there to kill them. We should differentiate that from when a community is having misunderstanding with the other community, and then they suspect that the soldiers were siding the other community. So in fact, if you ask me, the Okwama issue should be looked into, because that's supposed not to have happened in the first place if there was no reason for the military to come into Okwama. Here, the military did not go to anywhere to disturb anybody. They were in the right place they're supposed to be. And then unknown gunmen came to attack them, to destroy their vehicular equipment. That's criminal activity. It's different from community response, you know. So for me, it needs to be investigated. We need to do everything to track down the criminals. We need to do everything to make sure that those who were responsible for this activity are apprehended. Because if we don't, it will encourage them to do more.
All right, I'm going to ask you a tripartite question. I'd like you to take them together because I know you can. First is, how much will all of this that has happened, Okwama, all the killings, the banditry, and that has affected both not only citizens but also the military troops, how much do you think that it would affect or it will water down the enthusiasm most people have, especially to go to the military? Because you know, while we're growing up, if they give you admission into the NDA, that's like you throw a party, a community party. Your parents will tell, please come and join me to celebrate my child has been given an admission to become to the NDA or become an army. How much do you think that would make people, is it going to bring down the luster of that department? That's one on the side. And secondly, we'll bring it back to what Nnamdi Kanu said, that he has no hand in this. So how much will rescuing or releasing Nnamdi Kanu, how much is it going to even affect anything, especially in the southeastern security network, where you have him say that in the next 3 minutes I would make sure that insecurity is abated in the southeast. But then things like this, they keep happening, and then most people will tell you that it looks like he does not even have a grip on all that is happening again, because he's been infiltrated. What are your thoughts in all of this?
You know, once you take away the commander, the command get polarized.
Right.
There would be leadership vacuum, and the leadership vacuum also will also create splinter groups, and people that are aspiring to lead can become, instead of helping the group, destroy the group. Because as you and I are here now, we know that in the southeast, evil crept in the day a group of gunmen came into Owerri, shoot themselves through, releasing criminals from Owerri Central Prisons, and thereafter, you know, shoot for over 2 hours, as it was claimed back then. And then the following morning, we didn't see any seriousness in tracking down people who has brought such monumental problem to a region.
And that was actually my third question, because I actually forgot why up until now, all these
not
days,
one single
months,
person has been arrested.
Exactly. We don't even know who these unknown gunmen are.
And now researchers has come out to say that the federal government of that day has a hand, and it was their method of making sure that the southeast, that was hitherto very quiet, very peaceful, does not escape what is happening in northeast, in northwest, and then of course other places. I don't know whether theory is true, but one cannot dismiss it. There's also another school of thought that believes that these unknown gunmen, and of course when you trace the activities, you know that up till now, apart from the Owerri incident, there have been other incidents, and we have never heard about arrests. By the time you see any arrest, it will be people that are incriminated in the process, you know, trying to answer a warrant that does not belong to them. That's all that we are seeing in the process, and we are saying this is unacceptable as far as bringing peace in Southeast is concerned.
Let's quickly take this call before you go ahead. Good morning. Good morning.
Hello, good morning, KAFTAN TV.
Good morning. Ake from Lagos. How are you today?
I'm doing great. Fantastic.
All right.
Thank you.
Go ahead with your
hello
thoughts.
to your analyst there. Yeah. Yes, actually made strong points today, and really commend him. Well, this is how Nigeria has been. May God help us all anyway. Let me make reference to the issue of the soldiers that were killed. It was rather unfortunate. But at the same time, I'm not really particularly about this present government alone. I'm talking about Nigerian governance right from the onset. You see, I hate to hear that we have bandits or whatever having guns and all things. I kept on asking the question, then what is the function of the government? Yes. But then again, we will get to understand that governance is not just by those that are elected or those that seize power to be there alone. No. Governance cut across even the community themselves. Now, if you think the soldiers reacted somehow badly, unfortunately, it's not only in the southeast that they reacted that way, even in the southwest or in the north. When such kind of thing happens, this is the usual way military react. Because when something happens in an area, you hear that people saying, better move away from there, because when soldiers come, they raid all round. So let's try not to be particular just on Southeast. No, this is how military react, though it is not welcome, right? So then let's go to the governments themselves. Like I said, not only this particular government, but at least they are the one at this moment.
All right.
Look, the government have all the power and everything. I will expect the government, if possible, across the country, there should be a kind of a state of emergency. No one, in fact, you know, how do you license people to have weapons, especially guns? So our border, when you talk about the customs and immigration, what is work? How do these people even import these weapons? So the military and the police are giving us excuse. That's their job. And Mr. President also cannot give us any excuse, because whoever that is not doing his job, he should start anybody and get them out and put another person. What is the work of intelligence? So it's rather unfortunate that you keep on hearing this kind of thing. Then come back to the community. Look, let us not deceive ourselves. We are also frustrating the men in the uniform. Reason being that our traditional leaders, our community people, simply because of something that they believe in, whether because of Biafra, whether because of the Yoruba nation, whether because of one thing or the other, they keep on hiding secrets. We don't want to expose those. Look, most of the community knows about the illegal thing that is going on, but they will not want to tell the government. What can government do that? The government will always need to get closer to the people also, so that they can get information fed.
All right, thank you so much, Akim.
Without all these things, we are just wasting our time. God bless Nigeria. Thank you so much.
God bless you too. I came from Lagos. Good to hear from you. All right, we'd just like you to land on your thoughts so that we can take our next.
Well, generally speaking, and then speaking from the perspective of the last caller, you see, things are not working in our country. If everyone is doing what he is supposed to do, or what he was elected to do, or what he was appointed to do, or what he was employed to do, you see that the structure of government will be smooth, and the people will rejoice because the right things are being done.
Right.
No institution of government is actually doing what they're supposed to do. They are either are under the influence of the power above, or they are not well equipped to do their job, or their big ogas are pocketing the money with which they should obtain equipment with. One reason or the other, most of our government agencies are not doing what they are called to do. So we will not say what we have now is a working governance. It's not working.
All right. Let's take our next call. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, man.
Good morning, sir. Tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
I'm calling from Taraba State.
Okay. What's your name, please?
I just want to contribute to what is going on right now. I think the major challenge we have in this nation, we don't believe, most part of Nigeria don't believe in Nigerian project. There is no nation called Nigeria. We only have nationalities. Are you hearing me, man?
Yes, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Yeah, we only have nationalities. So most of the people we have in these nations, we are ethnic leaders. So there, you see, the country called Nigeria is not a nation yet, and nobody is even trying, or any leader that we have is trying to do anything that will ensure that Nigeria comes first in everything. We are all aligned to every of our nationalities, of our ethnic tribes in this nation. That is the reason we have the problem. And you see, Nigeria is not even seeing anything good in Nigeria. For example, somebody is in Nigeria, he's not sure what Nigeria will give him the protection he needs. So nobody is even interested in the country called Nigeria.
All right, thank you so much.
Of our foundation.
Thank you so much for your contribution. Our time is fast spent. All right, we just have to go. Thank you so much, sir. Let's go straight to our social media corner, because I'd like to get your thoughts on one of the videos that we saw on our social media corner, one of the videos that trended, and that's the video of Aisha Yusufu, who refused to stand up during the recitation of the new national anthem, because she believes that she's not going to take that anthem. But on the flip side, you have Joe Ibukwe. But let's take the video, then we'll come back to see Joe Ibukwe's response to it. All right, so I'd like to get your thoughts on that, the fact that she refused to stand up to recite the national anthem, and then it has actually gotten a lot of backlash. Some people for and the others against. Some people say that you go to some countries, you can't try that in some countries. You can't be disrespectful to the national anthem. It is now law, but then she decided that she was going to sit. But Joy Ibukwe says Aisha Yusufu cannot respect the national anthem. Yet let's see where all the nonsensical behavior will take her to. She may not understand the damage she is doing to herself and her family. Continue. Then Aisha Yusufu responds and laughs and says Joe Ibukwe should please call a family meeting and ask them to speak freely and tell him if they are not ashamed of who he is. A desperado who goes out okay, I don't think I want to stick this word on national TV. Let's get your
both Joe Ibukwe and Aisha were too personal about the incidents that happened. If you allow them, it can degenerate to telling about their matrimony and all that. But this does not answer the question that her action raised. She sat down contrary to the law when a national anthem is sung, meaning she contravened the law. There's no negotiation about that. That's what it is. However, we must also acknowledge the fact that the way and manner this anthem change came, people have barely come to time to believe that it is our anthem, by the way.
Right.
You know, so it is, for me, the way we should not have changed the anthem. We wanted to change our currencies just under the same APC government. And then we discovered that the printers of our currency were not able to print enough for the change. And then we agreed that, I think it was a court ruling, that both old and new currency should work side by side. If the government has accepted that we should allow both anthems to go until we have formally absorbed the old that is now replacing the new, you know, that would have gone. But what I want to look at Aisha's action. You know, civil disobedience is allowed when there's a draconian law that is being forced on you. But when you disobey the law, you also be sure that you are willing and capable and courageous enough to pay the consequences. But you have made your statement. She is not the first that disobeyed the law.
Right.
I liken her to Rosa Parks, who did not comply with the law of the United States at that time. The discriminatory law says that if a white man comes into a bus and a black man is sitting down, you black should stand up for the white to sit down. But here, Rosa Parks said, no, I'm not standing up. That means she have contravened the law. The consequences was that she was taken to prison. But her going to prison sparked a very huge protest. that finally led to the coming of Reverend Martin Luther King, who himself advocated that civil disobedience should be applied when the law does not tally with the people. So Aisha behaved like an activist, saying, I am sitting down to make a statement. But like as I said, consequences with that comes with her action is huge.
All right. Thank you so much, Obadiah Mbila. It's been a wonderful time. It's always a pleasure having this talk with you.
Wow.
Thank you so much for coming.
You're welcome. Always welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, viewers, that's where we end our conversation for today. We'll definitely continue again tomorrow, same time, 9 a.m. And that's when I will see you with more on the press. But then keep watching KAFTAN television, because we've got loads of programs reeled out for today. My name is Annabel Orji. Stay blessed.